Hello and welcome to class. Since this is one of your first classes, we're going to focus on your footwork. So for your footwork, we have a couple of different positions. We have your Pilates V, which is heels together, toes apart. Your toes will be your own fist width apart. And when I ask you to place your feet on the bar, the ball of the foot is the pad right below the big toes. The arches is the middle of the foot, and then you have the heel. So those are the positions that we'll be placing our feet on. Let's go ahead and lie onto our backs. You want to get on your back and find your neutral spine, your nose straight for the ceiling, sacrum heavy into the mat. And we'll start in the Pilates V position with the feet on the ball of the foot on the bar. The heels, you move your feet up and down and notice that the heels can lower and lift. Keep them up a tiny little bit, and then engage through the outside of the glutes. Take an inhale to press out as you breathe in. Exhale to pull back in. Inhaling to press out. And exhaling to pull back in. Good. Again, you're pressing all four springs out evenly through the ball of the foot and then pulling them back in. 3 more times, breathing away with your inhale. Exhale, pull in. When your legs are completely straight, let's hold here. When your legs are completely straight and you have your heels up, right here, the heels can lift as high as they stay together and your sacrum stays heavy. From there, see if you can encourage your butt to engage a little bit more so that it feels like everything pulls in. Keep that tight through the heels and that connection through your side. Try 3 more where you lower the heels and you lift the heels, keeping the chest open. 2 more times like that so that you continue to feel the outside of the glutes. And last one. From here, let's go in. You'll switch to the arches where your feet will be in the middle of the foot like we pointed out. And the chest is nice and open. Wrap your toes over and your heels under. For any reason your foot cramps up, just stand up and move it around a little bit. I want you to wrap through the feet, open through the chest, and stay reaching through the toes and the heels as you press out and as you pull in. So, as you're pressing out and back in, some things that you want to look out for, especially in this one, if you are not staying connected to your side, the way that you will know you're not staying connected to your side is it might feel like it hurts your feet to press away, or maybe even in your knees, or it might start to push you up where your shoulders start to press and it gets a little uncomfortable. So right here I have like 0 connection and it's just pushing and it's really making me feel uncomfortable and making my head hurt. So we want to make sure that the chest is open during our footwork and that your hands are pressing down into the mat so much that the upper back is active and it feels like the shoulder blades can take up a lot of space on the mat. From there, let's do a couple more. Pressing out with an inhale, squeeze through the glutes, exhale, pull back in. 3 more, and back in. Last 2. And 1 more. Then moving on to the heels, so right at the bottom of the heel, you push into the bar. As you're pushing with the heel, pull the ball of the foot and the toes back towards you. And then start to get the sensation that the heels want to push the bar away so that the hamstrings engage. And you press away, squeeze the glutes, and control back in. As you are doing this, you want to keep the sacrum heavy into the mat so that the spine stays steady. So the femur is just rolling within the hip socket. Good. 3 more. 2. And again, the chest chest stays open, you have space for your throat. Now let's take the feet down to the ball of the foot, and we're going to practice lifting both feet off at the same time to land onto the ball of the foot. And then the feet are going to stay parallel. I have my legs touching today. You can do that as well if you'd like, or they can be slightly apart. The legs can press out. If the legs are together, the heels and the ankles will stay together as the heels lower and as the heels lift. If the feet are apart, the knees and the ankles stay the same distance the entire time. Keep your chest open, pressing into the mat. And soften through the knees if needed, if they're feeling like they're locking out. When the heel is lower, it might be helpful to feel like you want to turn the knees out. And when the heels lift, it might be helpful to put a little bit of weight on the inside of the big toes if you have a tendency to roll your ankles out. 3 more times. And you're watching out for, again, kind of like being pushed against the shoulder blocks. Then bend the knees and come back in. Ideally, you have felt all of this work through the back of the leg. If for any reason you haven't felt that right now, don't worry, we're going to do some running right now, and then we're going to do that running again at the end of the class, and you will be able to kind of notice a difference from the start and the end of class, and hopefully really see how well you can connect after you've done all your exercises. So, from here, let's separate the feet about hip width, feet parallel. They're going to go out to straight legs. And just like a tendon stretch, where we lower and lift at the heels, one heel will lower and the other knee will go up. And then they will both meet in a high heel. Just switch. And again, they meet up and switch. And you raise the heels and lower. And this is your running. We're doing kind of slow right now, and we want to keep it that way for now. You are watching out for a couple of different things. You want your knees to track straight up and down, as if there was a string that pulls you up and then lowers you. You will know if that's not happening, one, by looking at your knees, but that kind of takes your neck forward. So let's keep the head up and think more about what's going on with your hips. Are they staying in place, or are they starting to kind of like shift from side to side? If they're shifting from side to side, chances are your knees are going from side to side. So make sure that they are staying even straight for the ceiling and your chest stays open, and that will help you feel the connection through the back of the legs a little bit more. Good. Bend the knees, come back in. You're going to take your feet down and sit yourself up however you need to. We are going to switch to 2 rest springs, the outside leg springs. And then lower yourself back down. Grab onto your straps. We're going to use the long loops right now. Have space for your shoulders. Take your feet back to the foot bar to start. When your feet are on the foot bar, don't actually move the carriage back, but find that point where you're about to push away, and just notice that sensation through the back of the leg and try and keep it. Take your hands up, and then keep that sensation through the legs. Start lowering the arms down for the hips, and then back up towards the ceiling. And again, you reach down, and you can use the foot bar right now as like a little landing spot. Or if your legs are staying at that 90-degree angle, or close to, I don't know where I'm at, you'll touch the foot bar every time you take the arms towards the ceiling. You don't want to put weight on the legs where you relax as you touch the foot bar, but I want you to use that just as a guide that you are still staying in alignment. Okay. At the top, let's open the arms and close. Open and close. We want tension in the straps. If the straps are slack, we could be doing this, but I don't know why you would do this one. We want to have the tension. So reach it down and then start opening and closing. I mean, I could come up with reasons as to why we could do the other one, but they're not necessary at this moment. Okay. Now circling the arms where we open, reach down for the hips and back up. Again, we'll open, reach down and up. 3 more. These are your arm circles. We want the arm, the humerus, the upper arm bone, to stay connected to the back so that you feel your legs working. And then reverse, reaching down, out, and up. 5 more. 4, 3, 2, and last one. Good. From here, take a little break, see how that felt. If for any reason you felt the front of your hips doing some of the work, you can start to scoop the abdomen in, or even like squeezing your butt a little bit more to let the front part of the legs soften. Next up, we're going to do tricep presses. So instead of that tabletop leg position, you're going to pull the knees closer to the chest. Again, make sure you have space for your shoulders to start with. Pull the knees a little bit closer, and then take your elbows to your side on the mat as close to your waistline as you can, while the shoulders stay open. If they are lifted, just pull them back, stay open. Then reach the hands down for the mat, and then up to the ceiling, and down for the mat, and up to the ceiling, and again, down to the mat, and up to the ceiling. We are practicing the knees closer in because it strengthens your abs differently. Plus, it's technically a prep for an exercise that comes later on in time. 1 more. And then we keep the hands here. Let's curl the head, neck, and shoulders up away from the mat. Then the arms are going to start pumping up and down. Feel how this movement comes from the upper back. And then make it a little bit faster. And then take your legs back to your tabletop. You're going to breathe in for 5. And exhale for 5. Breathe in. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in. Exhale. 2 more. And exhale. If your neck needs a break, just take a break. So let's lower the neck. And then from here, we're going to practice feet and straps twice today. So first, press away where you are pushing into the bar. Pull the right leg in, or left one. Put the first foot into the strap. Put weight into the strap to support your leg there. Pull the other leg in and place the other one in. You're going to have heels together, toes apart in your Pilates feet. Press out, nose straight for the ceiling. You reach out anywhere from like a 30-degree to a 45-degree angle, and then squeeze through the glutes. Keep the sacrum heavy, pull the knees in towards you. Sacrum stays down, and then you reach away again. And then you pull in, and then you reach away. Now during this exercise, I just want you to focus on keeping your sacrum heavy on the mat, the chest to open, and you let the legs glide away. and then pull back in. 2 more. 1 more, keep your legs straight, heels connected and your Pilates feet lift up towards the ceiling. And then lower down. So as you're lifting and lowering, we're looking out for a couple of things. We're looking to see if the heels can stay connected, and also if they are staying in center line. If you notice that your feet are kind of wobbling a little bit, sometimes that happens. Think about your hips staying anchored down as if you had a seatbelt, and it pulls you straight up, and then you pull back down. That might mean that your leg doesn't totally straighten. My leg works better if it has a slight bend. So you'll see right here, my knee will naturally be bent. But I have a good connection to my abdomen anyway. Could I straighten? Yeah, I can work both ways. Today I'm going to keep my knee slightly bent. Good. 1 more time like this. And at the top, the feet will separate about shoulder width apart. Then the legs will lower down to the same distance, back together at center to go back up. These will look like rectangles. They are called leg circles. After about 3, you can start rounding off the corners. That will actually look more like ovals because most circles are ovals in Pilates. It's like you're drawing out the outline of a baguette. You want to do anywhere from 6 to 8 circles. Let's do 1 more here, and then we'll be reversing them at the top. So once you get to the top, the feet will lower down through center to separate and take your legs back up. I was just thinking, I had my hands on my hips for a little while. You can always do that to help you keep your hips anchored down. If not, keep your hands long on the side of the mat, firmly pressing at all times, so that your upper back stays active. But if you do feel that you need a little bit of assistance stabilizing yourself, you are always welcome to take your hands there. And if you can keep your back also active, that works even better. 1 more time. And then pulling the feet together to bend the legs towards each other into a butterfly stretch where the feet stay above you. Take a couple of breaths here. And then taking your feet out of the straps. Okay. So, from here we're going to add all the springs back on. Make sure your loop is out. The foot bar needs to go down. And I made that one more difficult than it needed to be. You don't need this anymore, but you do need your box. So lower down your headrest, grab onto your box, place it either over the shoulder blocks or in front of them, depending on your leg length. Okay. And then we'll be sitting on the box. Keeping your feet through the loop. You want to separate through the feet. Give yourself a hug. Let's use your middle finger and your ring finger to kind of like scoop right underneath the last rib and lift yourself up really, really tall. Shoulders wide. Lightly round yourself forward. And we'll start going back just a little bit and coming forward. Finding this movement from the pelvis where you tuck your tailbone underneath you like a sad puppy. And then you come up and over the pelvic bone, the pubic bone. Good. Again, rounding back, controlling forward, only going back to a place where you're just feeling your abs engage and your back lengthen. Three more. Two. And once more. From here, stay lifting up and over the ribs and round forward lightly. Keep the ribs lifting. Take your arms out in front. Stack up towards the ceiling until you're as tall as you can be. Keep reaching through the arms. And then take one hand on top of the other one for Ginny arms. Shoulder blades separating and down. And imagine like you're pulling yourself out of a swimming pool. So you want that engagement through your back. Your shoulder blades just spread over your back. And then from here, as you press, you're going to tilt yourself back and tilt yourself forward. I recommend staying looking at your arms as you go back. Sometimes I notice people like to look at the ceiling and then their head starts to go and they turn their head a little too much. So just stay looking at your hands, your arms, even look at your toes. Trying to grow taller with each one. So I wasn't really trying with any of those, but yes, I'll try now and look a little bit better. Yay! See? Looks so much better when you actually try. Okay. Now come to the top, and at the top, we're going to take the hands down towards the mat. Let's keep the right hand down first, and then the left hand goes up to the ceiling. The left hand is going to lift up and over. Here's what we want to watch out for immediately, that when we go up and over, we're not kind of like hanging out on this arm and we're just there. We want to lift this arm so much that it feels like you want to reach your ear up and over to the ceiling, and maybe push yourself taller from the right hand, then come back to center. And this hand goes down. This one goes up to the ceiling to push yourself up and over, ear for the ceiling, left hand into the mat, and back down. So this hand is going to push down into the mat, left one to the ceiling, and then lift up and over like your left ear wants to reach for the ceiling, and you can push out the right hand. And then you switch, pressing down through the hand, arm up and over, helping you stretch. This one's more difficult for me. And again, two more to each side. Lift. I'll prep a little bit better and lift. One more to each side. Okay, so from here we want to do twist next. You're going to take your hands to the front of the chest, elbows out to the side until you feel your shoulder blades spread all over your back. Well, that's what it feels like to me. It just kind of like hugs your rib cage. So once you find that on your back, maybe like move around a little bit until you feel it. Pull the ribs in, pull the abs in, and then twist over to one side and pull back to center. And twist over to the other side and back to center. And again, twist, twist, pull to center. Twist, twist, pull to center. Two more to each side. Trying to grow taller each time. You are looking out for the feet. If they are moving, then you are not really rotating, but just kind of like taking yourself with you. Just make sure that your feet are staying in place as you rotate. And then we're going to take out the right leg. We're going to hook the entire arm under the leg if you can. For any reason that's not possible, just take your hands under there. We just want to sit really tall. So you could be here, or you could be here. Shoulders back, scooping through the abdomen. You're going to start straightening through that leg and bending. So, for example, today as I straighten and bend, this leg doesn't want to fully straighten when I'm holding here. I could switch down to my hands here as long as I stay connected to my back and straighten here at a slightly lower angle with my knee. This is the exact same benefit as doing it higher up here and reaching straight up while staying connected to the back. So for today, I will work in this range so that it helps me be able to have my legs straight when I'm pulling in with my arm more often than not. One more, keep the legs straight. Take the hands up towards the ankle if you can, or even just by the knee, to point and flex through the foot. If your hands are up to the ankle, you want your shoulders back so that you stay connected to your upper back. Now we're just going to work on tilting back as the bottom foot stays flexed a little bit and then controlling forward. And again, we're going to just do a small tilt and forward and once more. Then we practice that on the other side where we bring that leg in there. So I'm just going to grab this one this way because this is technically a little bit less flexible side and it likes to have extra love. Some people would call it their problem child. I just call it my attention seeker. So we're going to straighten her and then bend her. Currently it's a she. Bottom foot is flexed. You're sitting tall out of both sits bones. One more. Then keeping that leg straight, walking up to where you can stay connected to your back, point and flex the foot. As you're pointing and flexing, you're just watching to see what the alignment looks like. And then the bottom foot is flexed for you to tilt back a little bit and tilt forward. And again, it's just a slight tilt right now. You're just getting used to the equipment, going back and forward and back. And one more. Good. From here, we're going to keep both feet down, but we're going to take it out of the loop this time. As you're sitting with the heels hang, and then take the right foot over the left leg for your figure 4 stretch. You can grab the straps this side of the box, pull yourself up, round through the abdomen to go in towards your figure 4. And pull your elbows out, and then come back up to switch sides. From here, grow tall, rounding forward, pulling the abdomen in, elbows out. Sitting yourself tall. You're done with the short box for now. So we're going to put the box away. We're going to repeat the feet in straps, frogs, and circles. And then end with running and pelvic tilt. We already did running, so we're going to see how our legs have connected a little bit more. And we also want to pay attention to see if we can feel that this time that we're doing the frogs and the circles, just to see if it's a little bit different. We're going to change the spring on where it's going to be a little bit lighter. So, fun. Head rest and come back up. Footbar can come back up. We don't actually need it at the moment, but that can happen. It's always helpful as something to assist you if you don't have someone there helping you. So you're going to switch to one blue spring and one red spring. I like to keep them them separated, it's just personal choice. So, you grab your straps. Again, you press the legs out. It's a little bit lighter than last time. And you're gonna put one foot into the strap, supported here. And then the other one. Hands firmly press into the mat. Let's start with your frogs immediately, where you press out and you pull in. It feels way lighter, and when it feels way lighter, it can make it easier for you to squeeze your butt at the end and feel more of like these outside glute muscles, and then you pull in. Sometimes when it's heavy, you're just trying to get your legs straight. But when it's heavy, it helps you understand where you press from, which is why we're doing both. And there's other stuff that you could find through them, but you know, you would probably hang out here for a while, probably longer than you want to. Keep the legs straight next, and then the legs will lift. They will separate and lower together and up. The other thing about the spring being lighter is it starts to let you feel how the abdomen does the work differently. Because we're taking away some of the weight that was helping before. And reverse. And we also took some of the weight away that was actually making it harder for us. So it's easier now to press into the springs. But it does require a little bit more control to separate evenly from center line. Now, hold the legs in, take off the straps. We sit ourselves up to switch and add one more wrist spring, so now you have 2 wrist springs and 1 blue. It's not the same that we start our footwork with, but it's what we're going to end with today. Coming up, ball of the foot, separate the feet about hip width apart, hands long to the side, connect your back press out, lift one heel, lower the other for your running. As it's lighter, you'll notice that the outside of the glutes can stay engaged a little bit better. It's a little bit easier with less weight to do that. So, it's a nice thing to notice. Then you bend both knees to come back in. You're going to go onto the arches of the feet, but you want to go wide on the bar and slightly turned out to very lightly lift your pelvis, and then you press out and you pull back in. So your pelvis is up, but your low back is not lifted. It's just your sacrum's floating and back in. And then we'll do that 3 more times. You inhale to press out, squeeze the glutes, exhale, pull back in. 2 more, inhale, reach, exhale, pull, and last one. And then you come all the way back in. You take your legs over the bar, hands to the ceiling, taking an inhale into the side and the back of the rib cage. As you exhale, sit yourself up tall, and then you're all done. Clean up.